Every year around Halloween, we are treated to an outpouring of what could only be described as scare literature, telling us about how the holiday is satanic and evil and should not be celebrated by Christians. These opinions are backed up by some rather unusual and very frightening fantasies masquerading as historical facts. The following videos are not intended to address whether or not Satan exists, nor to show that witches are nice granola-eating vegetarians and tree huggers who wouldn't harm a fly. Nor is it an attack on fundamentalist Christians, but rather a discussion concerning some of the so-called facts offered in some anti-Halloween publications.
Michele Blake wrote a very popular article entitled 10 Reasons I Kissed Halloween Goodbye. It was responded to by Yuri Stasiak and Derek Powlett. In this series we will go over each reason Blake gave.
6. Are we causing others to stumble? Even if we don't believe it's dangerous to dabble in the ancient pagan practices of Druid priests.
Blake starts off by yet again arguing from zero evidence that Halloween today is the ancient pagan practices of Druid priests. This is simply untrue. If a historian unbeliever heard her speech, my guess is he would never agree to go to her church, or take her seriously. Halloween today is a secular holiday, devoid of ancient paganism, based loosely on a complex syncretism of numerous historic Christian ideas and medieval superstitions.
Have we given any thought to the impact our actions might have on others?
This is indeed the question I want to ask her, and every Christian that believes in Halloween conspiracy theory. If I have an unbelieving friend, and you call his Christian grandmother a Satanist for participating in a Druid holiday, will he not think you are absolutely insane, and want nothing to do with you or your Christianity? Yes.
The Bible tells us just how important it is that we not lead his children astray or cause them to stumble.
Blake introduces the cause others to stumble idea found in Matthew chapter 18:6 and Mark chapter 9:42. And obviously assumes Jesus was talking about Halloween. Must be in a Bible translation I don't have. Now, let me ask, which is a more likely to scenario? First, children who dress up as the Power Rangers are likely to grow up and stumble into witchcraft, becoming satanic Power Rangers. Or second, children who are told Halloween is satanic, grow up to see that statement wasn't a historical, and factual, superstitious myth, then they refuse to listen to other things Christians tell them, assuming those two perhaps are myths. Hint. Witchcraft is not growing, but atheism is.
If we present witchcraft, promiscuity, and the occult in a fun and seductive manner now, are we opening the door to involvement in those practices in the future?
This strange logical fallacy argument reminds me of the ruckus over the Harry Potter books years ago. Millions of Christians predicted mass movements of new child witches. This never came. Instead, young people continue to lead in atheist polls, not supernaturalist polls. As J.K. Rowling put it, I'm laughing slightly because to me, the idea is absurd. I have met thousands of children, and not even one time has a child come up to me and said, Ms. Rowling, I'm so glad I've read these books, because now I want to be a witch.
Will our children learn values we want them to learn by participating in this holy day, or would they learn better values, perhaps even courage, from seeing us stand up against evil even when our culture says it's fine?
First, Blake shows her ignorance of the history and etymology of the term Halloween, which does really come derived from holy day, which completely contradicts her speculation that Halloween is pagan. She then appeals to sentiment by bringing in children. I want to ask her, will her children learn good values, such as ignorance of history, propagation of falsehood, superstitious fear of the unknown, cultural isolationism, and shaming or shunning everyone who disagrees as worshipping the devil?
It probably goes without saying, but what values are we impressing on our children when we send them trick-or-treating?
I would probably say we are enabling children to learn the beauty of capitalism. The bigger houses provide the most candy, while the cheaper apartments have less to give. I am laughing as I write this. What is Blake referring to? Apparently something sinister is the answer. Something like, we are teaching our children the values of worshipping the devil? Oh really? So that little kid, who comes to my door asking for candy is a Satan worshipper? Really? Little Iron Man is here to sacrifice my soul to the demons.
Is the lie "give me your candy or I'll play a trick" really becoming of anyone?
Another case of historical ignorance. I cover the 4 possible historical sources of trick-or-treating in my post The Real History of Halloween. None of them are a lie. I also cover the historical development of holiday traditions, which Blake appears to be oblivious of with a statement like this. Traditions are often complex anachronisms, not simplistic statements as she assumes. According to her strange logic, she could consider play actors as liars for not truly meaning what they recite.
If we forego Halloween, but give our children a substitute celebration instead, are we sending the message that I'm trying to compensate because I think you're missing out on something really amazing?
Here, Blake goes overboard by not only denouncing Christians who participate in Halloween in a positive way, but even those who host anti-Halloween parties. Her rhetoric simply does not hold up. Even if Halloween was evil, this would still be a logical fallacy. If I give a teenager a car to stay off drugs, am I really telling him drugs are better than a car?
I want my children to believe what I myself believe, that we have been given something so much better than this. No more bobbing for apples in the church basement, a pagan fertility ritual, by the way.
Blake begins to show her true colors. She starts off by saying she is not legalistic, and goes on to completely contradict her moderate introduction. Using her logic, we can probably find or invent pagan roots in every single game, event, or thing. Does she not know that it was pagans like the Egyptians and Sumerians that invented writing as an ancient ritual of spreading pagan ideas? Yet she uses the written language herself. Oh dear, she must be warned, her soul is in danger.
When I have true joy in knowing God's true Son.
Finally, there is a contrast between Halloween versus true joy in knowing God's true Son. Oh really? Are those the only 2 options being offered to the world? Halloween or Jesus? Really? There is no possibility that maybe, just maybe, there could be a tiny little bit of wiggle room? Blake defiantly says no, and thus implies that millions of Christians, who claim they love Jesus but celebrate Halloween, are evil pagans. Thank you, Mrs. Blake. Boy, am I glad to know this truth. Here Blake points out that Jesus says that we should not cause the children to stumble. She, again, paints Halloween as a druid, cultic and satanic thing, which it's not. Test this. Go around asking random people where Halloween came from and what it means. I don't think they'll give that answer. They'll say things like, I don't know and don't care. It's just a fun time to get dressed up or whatever. It used to be cultic, and there are a sliver of the population who step up their incantations that night. But Halloween no longer carries those ancient meaning. Of course, if you are with someone who thinks that Halloween is evil, then do not go trick-or-treating with them, for their sake, as Paul says in 1 Corinthians 10.